Yeah, I was offered for a good. Oh, you're recording.
Yeah, you can talk about your being off coffee. I just
I'm not
added a
talking
banner to the
about
bottom.
any of that stuff. No.
Why? You're
'Cause
off
I want-
coffee. I'm off coffee. Well, you're back on coffee.
Yeah, I was off coffee for the whole summer, and it was friggin' crazy. It went really well for a while. The first few weeks are brutal. It's like any withdrawal. Like, it was almost unbearable, and then I got used to it. I really drank nothing but water for the whole summer, which was really good for me. And then I don't know, it was one Sunday I was playing some game or something. I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee. And dude, it was like someone hooked up, charging my batteries or whatnot, whatever you call it, cables, whatever that crap is.
And I was starting a car. Yeah,
I was like, oh, the power. Felt like gold Skeletor. And I was like, sweet.
And was it just a one-time treat, or have you treated yourself every day?
I have one in the morning, which just it does amazing things. And since I'm doing a lot of streaming now, I try and limit it, but it's hard. So for this broadcast, I just have water.
Well, that's okay. Water is good for you. It's starting to become more and more like wrestling theme intros.
What is that song from?
It's just one of our cool songs that's part of our library, Jay.
Oh, okay. Because when I go live, I have the generic like 8. And I remember watching, I think it was Chris Gore. I was watching one of his live streams, and he used the same rock thing as I did. I'm like, hey, no, I didn't do that.
Well, see, I made our own countdown, and
Well, I know the countdown. I just mean that the song I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? Like you got to make it. I commissioned it and all that stuff. So wanted to be unique just in case somebody else used it, Jay. And now you know what that's like.
Me and Chris Gore are like best friends now, I guess.
Well, good for you and Chris Gore. I don't know who Chris Gore is. I'm guessing he's somebody prominent and influential.
I'm not going to embarrass myself and try and profess to know everything about him. He used to work, I think, at G4 for a while doing gaming stuff. Now he does a lot of movie reviews and a lot of film theory stuff. Actually, he does film stuff. You'd like him. He's really, really cool. He's really down on Hollywood and everything that's going on with Disney and all that. So all about that.
One of those movie insider people.
Yeah, he didn't like the live action Pinocchio. Can you believe it? Weird, right?
Who cares? You like it? You don't like it? I mean, I guess people look to why we're doing our show for, people's opinions and
people care, but what other people say, it's why they watch stuff like this.
And why don't you just watch it yourself and make up your own mind?
I'm good.
By the time you watch an hour-long podcast, you too could have watched that film and conjured your own ideas.
No, it's so much more fun to watch someone who knows more than me about film actually talk intelligently about it. Where I was like, I don't like it's dumb. That's what I would sound like.
That's fair. That's also fair. Yeah. There is an expertise quotient there that you do have to appreciate, I suppose. I don't know. I just like to make up my own mind about movies and shows in particular.
Oh, so do I. It's got nothing to do with that. I just like watching guys who are in our space share their thoughts and reactions. And I'm like, yeah, I think that too. Or yeah, no, that doesn't make any kind of sense. What kind of funhouse are you in? What angle is this? Are you upside?
This is a reverse angle. This is a reverse angle from what we've been doing the last few weeks. So here we are. You know how it is. There's a progression, an evolution of the space, and by the end of the season, it'll be cemented just in time for next year to have a whole new look. That's just how we do it.
I'm the opposite. I may build upon the look, but once I'm down, I'm good.
So this brings us to this week's icebreaker display. We joked about how my background display changes quite frequently. How often do you change, and what forces your hand to make that cruel decision to climb that grueling mountain of change for how things are set up?
The only thing I need to change here, I think I need to get a little bit of a better cam to pick up.
Yeah, but display. I mean, like not necessarily just for like streaming and stuff, but like how everything is organized, collection, games, even like your living space, like how you have your couches and furniture or your bedroom. Because I'm forever changing everything.
I used to do that a lot when I was younger, but now I'm like, if I'm moving into a new place, I'll assess the situation in each room and I'll make a visual, and I'm really, really careful about that. That takes a long time, but once it's down, do you ever have a gut feeling like when something's down, you have this gut feeling? It's like it just doesn't feel right.
What I love about your answer already is it basically describes your mindset for going into action figure adventure.
Yeah.
Once you have an idea and a gut feeling, you're not changing. It's just
you can't go against your gut feeling. You can't, because
it's not going. It's about being open-minded to try things. Jay, sample it. Just move it over here. See how it sits. You can always move it back.
Like trade in Stargate figures. Try new things like that. You mean?
Well, like try something. Like switch it up a bit. The old switcheroo.
Yeah. I like my angles. I like my backdrops. I do miss the old toy backdrop, to be honest. I really do. So if I get another computer for our show, I would do it downstairs. But
we could always just get a laptop, and that way you could be wherever you wanted.
Nah.
See, why are you so against that already?
Old school.
What does that mean?
Well, leave me alone. How about that?
No,
leave me alone.
If you're going to get a computer, you could have any background, and every stream we do could be different. You could bring it on the road, wherever you're going with your dolly adventures.
I like to think there's some kind of comfort that people like in the same background.
I like to think that people like to be surprised and wonder what it's going to be like next time. It's something to look forward to, not just the same old. Your
camera is like eye level too. It's usually up above. So that's freaking me out too. I feel like you're coming to get me or something.
Well, you're always so low in your frame. You're like, hi guys.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Well, I'm sitting back. I got to sit back more like this.
All right, you get set. This is a wonderful toy conversation that everybody's loving. I bet the metrics will say that people have tuned out by the time I started picking on you for your display. We didn't get to the goods fast enough for people. We didn't deliver enough.
People like watching us talk. You don't want to just get right into it, man.
What is wrong with people?
Too many people want it quickly. Now I've heard that the attention span for even like these YouTube shorts and TikTok videos is 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's insane, man. What have we become?
I don't know. You lost me already in your explanation.
Yep, there you go.
Let's talk about Action Figure Adventure episode 5. It just dropped on Jinx Esports TV Canada. Of course, all of Action Figure Adventure Season 2 is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors of Heroes Comics and Cards in London, Ontario, which Jay, you mentioned. Also Big Bad Toy Store, Mock Masters, and Retro Rags as well. I got a bunch of Mock Masters in cases here. Yeah. I can talk about it during Action Figure Spotlight, pull one off. But they're awesome. They're my favorite collectible case, not just because they're a cool sponsor. They're UV protected, which is really, really cool. So if you got windows, it's not going to make your dollies turn yellow. Don't we all want clear dollies and not yellow ones?
The best ones are yellowed. Come on.
I hate Masters of the Universe yellow packages. Like
I hate
when the bubble goes yellow. No, Masters in particular, because that yellow does not look good against that red backdrop.
No, none of it looks good.
Is there a yellow package? Superpowers would look okay. The yellow and the yellow.
I was going to pick up that Daredevil
Secret
Wars, and I haven't yet because the yellow.
It's just same with the Doctor Doom.
So the yellow with Daredevil being red and the background being blue. It's just
Doom being green with the yellow filter to the blue.
It looks dirty. It looks dirty, even though it's completely brand new. It looks dirty.
That's the problem. I'd want to open it and rather have a pristine figure that isn't discolored.
So you need cases for Mock Masters. That's what you're saying. There you go.
No, what I need is like an actual bubble that's good, and then I can put it in the Mock Masters case.
Or maybe, don't put your display in the window.
Well, some toy stores just don't learn that. They learn at the hardware. Like, here, check out this new vintage whatever. It's been in my sun-drenched window.
You pick it up. It's like, oops.
Yeah, you blow on it, it just crumbles, disintegrates. All the plastic melts. Did you watch episode 5 of Action Figure Adventure season 2? Again, this is exciting for me because we didn't watch them together. So I get to hear your reaction to our work on the show. Episode 5 is called Uncrassomatic.
Yeah. That's from Transformers, everybody.
That's from Transformers, the movie. Season 1, I started this irritating thing of finding like a really cool pop culture phrase to describe each episode.
I like that.
I like it too, not thinking that, oh, wow, I'm going to have to come up with something for every episode that we do going forward. So season 2 was even more difficult to find something. And you don't want to give it away, but you want to hint at something that kind of centers around that IP.
Yeah, so specifically, no one calls Soundwave charismatic. Sorry, I said it right. Charismatic. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, what do you think?
Do you want to talk about each store separately? Do you want to talk about the middle part? The middle part was awesome. That's a topic that we talk about lots.
Yes, it is. I mean, I don't want to give away anything that happens in the stores too much, of course, because that's one of the big reasons people watch it. And I will tell you that there are distributors that are now picking up Action Figure Adventure Season 2 for distribution, probably February-ish. It'll be on certain platforms and I'll know more.
Amazing.
Probably in the new year. There's at least 2 platforms that have picked it up already. They're not massive platforms yet, but I'm waiting on 3 bigger ones that should pick it up as well. But it'll be out there, which is the cool thing. That'll help support us.
Thing. Yeah, we gotta get it out there, and that's nothing at all against the platforms it's on right now. But I mean, for us, we're trying to expand, right? And that's really the only way you can. So,
well, the model that we have,
the better.
Yeah, the model we have now is always an exclusive release in Canada, because it just makes sense with how we've funded our funding scheme. So exclusive release in Canada in tandem, of course, with our Kickstarter backers, and then piecemealing it to other territories and platforms around the world for different windows of time and release strategies. So it's a lot of work, but hopefully it'll pay off at some point. And hopefully we won't have to wait as long for a season 3 if we can make it work. But what did you think about episode 5, Uncrassomatic? It's just specifically the discussion, I guess, of collecting the same figures and the same stuff over and over again.
That was awesome. Even here, like Pixel Dan, someone who's just, He-Man's his thing, right? To even see someone like him being like, do I need this 5th version of He-Man? And no, I don't. And you and I can relate to that. And I love how you put Luke Skywalker in there, by the way, because me specifically, Luke Skywalker is that character for me. And I've said, I think last year, one of our shows, I've even said that Luke is the exception. I've even pulled back on that. So, yeah, right. How many Jedi Knight Lukes do you need? The vintage one is great. And then I got the vintage collection one, which we had fun with. And that's great. And I think when they release the one from the Mandalorian season 2, I'll get that one because it's a different version of Jedi Luke. It's not, but it is. Yeah, I mean, sure. You can relate to that too. How many Prince Adam figures?
Thankfully, there's not a lot of Prince Adam figures, and the ones that they do release are always different. I mean, the 2002 one looks way different than He-Man, right? So it's not just like a paint swap.
Point being, right? Like our favorite guys, like how many of X guy do you need, right? So it was cool, and everyone. I love how Jeremy calls it a sickness.
Oh yeah, and he fully embraces it, and he says, "There will never be enough Ninja Turtles for little Jeremy." Yeah,
it's like how many Leonardos do you need? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. So I cut to his shelves, right? Because we filmed his collection at some point too, and we'll showcase that whole thing. But to see all those turtles, and you're thinking, that's a lot of the same looking thing.
It is, yeah. two schools of thought with that. One being, if I'm going to side with the manufacturers like Hasbro, I'll say, you know what? Maybe there's up and coming collectors that are just old enough now to work, and they've never had a New Hope Luke Skywalker. So every 3 years, there's a New Hope Luke Skywalker. That's about as positive as I can be when it comes to stuff like that. It's really just corporate greed. And really, if they're going to put something out and we're purchasing it, we're consuming it, they're going to continue to do so. Right?
Yeah, I think it's just a fascinating psychological obsession that we have. Because even a 3-year gap for you and I, imagine there was no Luke for 3 years, even though there's one every 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
That would probably be a big enough window for us to jump on the new thing, I would imagine.
And I think that would be acceptable. 3 years is acceptable. It's just enough time to miss something. But I think...
Oh, the new rule. Oh.
Maybe, I don't know. Let's hash this out here. I'm thinking maybe... You know, I have a tie to that character. You have a tie to Prince Adam. So let's use those two as examples. Say they put out more Prince Adam figures, so he's in the same kind of category. Sure. There's something about you buying Prince Adam and your connection with that character and the event of you purchasing it at Toys R Us or Walmart or whatever that just makes you very happy. Same with me and Luke Skywalker. So it's not just about getting another Luke Skywalker. It's about actually buying that Luke Skywalker and bringing him home. Right?
Yeah. I almost wonder, like, if there has to be that subsequent rule. You can't buy the same character again unless X number period of time has, like, X number of weeks or months have passed, or there's a substantial difference in the figure, like, into what degree. The Mandalorian Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, is it the packaging enough because it says the Mandalorian on it? I think it comes with Grogu as well. Is that enough as an accessory?
Well, to be completely nerdy, it's the first time we've seen Luke in his outfit from when he defeats Vader, but with the cloak on. Because when he has the cloak on, he has the Jedi tunic. So it is kind of different because he just has the end of Jedi outfit with the cloak on. So it is technically different.
And this is the justification, folks, for the new figure. This is the depths of the sickness. Well, because he didn't have his Dolly cloak on before, and now he's got his Dolly cloak with his
he's still
Jedi
draped
uniform.
In just black, and from afar, no one would be able to tell anything. But I can. But I mean, they teased the stretch goal for the Rancor HasLab, which was Luke Skywalker again, and I mean that didn't make me want to get the Rancor anymore because it's just a version of that Black Series mold, just repurposed on the vintage Jedi card, which we're going to get anyway next year, which is the 40th of Jedi.
Yeah,
it's too much, and then again. I promised I wasn't going to mention cost, but again, then you add cost on top of it, and it's just like, nope. Got to pull back.
Yeah, I'm all about the substantial differences. I think the last Prince Adam figure I got was from the Netflix CG show, because clearly it's much different than Origins, and it's a great looking figure as well.
Well, why don't we use He-Man then? Let's say He-Man or a character that you love equivalent to him, because like you said, Prince Adam only comes out once in a while. So let's say, I don't know, He-Man, whoever you want.
For example,
what is snake armor He-Man? That's a thing. I didn't even know that was a thing. So
this is from the 2002 show when He-Man in the second half of the season and the Snake Men rise up. He actually wears, that kind of armor. It's kind of like basically a shoulder plate across. And it's almost like a battle armor, like original kind of hybrid where it crisscrosses his whole chest. They have a release of it in 2002, but I could never get my hands on that series, which is why he's got the 2002 head as well.
I can't help but to snicker.
It's almost like the battle armor version of He-Man from 2002.
No. I mean, if I could go back a year and a half, I don't like Origins. I don't like them. I don't need them. They don't do anything.
This is funny because I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's unlike that. That's more likely something I would do, where it's like, I don't really need that. And then the next day it's like, I have the whole set.
I got it. Well, here's the difference with Origins, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, here we go. The Defender of Origins. Here we go.
No. This is the only line I've ever come across this with. The only line in my entire collecting where seeing and holding it in your hand is truly the difference maker.
Especially loose. They're great loose.
Because when you actually whether it's something like that or even like a Stridor or the Wind Raider, when you actually get to hold it in your hand and you see the detail and the scale of it compared to what else we've got in recent years and the price point, it's like, wow, this is actually really better than I would expect. And part of that is the influence of other lines that have come up to that point where you get it and you feel a little let down with what you're getting. So you're kind of like, I bought this online based on this image and this is what I got. And so that kind of karma begins to add up. That kind of taste in your mouth begins to sit around. But this, almost every time I get a figure, it's better than any imagery that you see online that announces the wave.
Yeah, you rarely see any figures with any kind of paint defects. They're always high quality. Not a fan of the price going up on them.
Yeah. But and this is the first wave of the Snake Men too. So again, the art and the packaging play a role into that.
Yeah.
Which was, of course, one of the later waves of the vintage.
And I really like how they've embraced all the eras of He-Man in the Origins line. It's really cool. Instead of just doing the classic, 82 stuff, 83 stuff, they're doing like 2002. They're doing the movie stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's cool. And even new adventures, right? That 4-pack of He-Men came out to celebrate the 40 years or whatever. And there's a new adventures figure in there. I missed out on the pack, but it was pretty expensive, $150 US.
Ooh. Yeah.
But 4 exclusive figures, 4 exclusive cards, chrome weapons.
Chrome bank account, chrome mouth, chrome bankruptcy.
Chrome credit card debt. Yeah, it looks good on your wall. It doesn't look good in your bank account. Yeah, those are tough. That's
when you look at your figures and you start to sweat, yeah, that's probably not a good sign.
Yeah, sweat like a spicy burrito.
Yeah.
One of the things that I discovered while building our best of action figure spotlight episodes, which are still coming out every week, was we had an episode where we talked about our listener stats. When we first started, I think we were like 6 or 8 episodes deep. And we went through our listener stats, which was pretty funny. So I thought, 3 years later now, I think it's been 3 years.
Oh God, 3 years we've been doing this?
Yeah, but not consistently, right? Because we usually take 6 months off every year. So it's not like 52 episodes.
Well, that's fair because most shows do that, right?
Well, most TV shows do that, but most podcasts are pretty dedicated weekly.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah. But our stuff, we kind of follow. I mean, this goes alongside whatever we're doing to help promote it as well, right? So
we usually take the summer off. So I like the fall, winter, early spring regime. And there's a few videos that get sprinkled out afterwards, but kind of like that.
So you got some stats?
Yeah, I got some listener stats. So here we go. Coming in at 1%. This is from like, where are you around the world listening to our show? This is just the listening side, not the YouTube side. So our audience on the audio side and podcasting platforms has gone up, which is great. Oh, thank God. Sweden comes in at 1% of our listeners.
Wow. Okay.
At 2% is Germany.
All right.
And then we jump to 8% for the UK.
That's all Ian, multiple devices.
13% for Canada. I was expecting more for Canada, but I guess not.
Nope.
Here's the curveball. 14% for Australia.
Yeah.
We do a lot of back and forth with our good friends in Toy Power Podcast. And
we got some buddies there. Sure.
I con my way into guesting on their show as frequently as our promotions allow. So maybe that's spilled into our Aussie listening ship numbers. And coming in at 60%, the USA. We're big in America, buddy. What do you think?
It's no surprise. If you look at your YouTube stats, your analytics, they're probably the same as mine, where most of my views come from the US. Which, yeah, I'm surprised. I really am, but there you go.
Well, I'd be curious now that you're doing more gaming stuff, if that changes and if that starts
to really tell.
Yeah, I'd be really curious.
with that stuff. Yeah, it's hard to tell at this point, but I don't know. I don't know. there's certain slots I do where I get people from around the world, and most of the people I get, I think, are from across the pond. So who knows?
Well, part of that could be your streaming slots too, right? Like in the UK, they're 5 hours ahead. So if you're streaming at noon, then that's already after work for them, which is good. Most people are listening to us on Apple Podcasts at 62%, and then Spotify at 22%. Now, my favorite one, the age range at 11%, the 28 to 34-year-old crowd. At 83%, the 35 to 44 range, which of course surprises nobody. And at 45 to 59 is 4%.
There you go.
Which hasn't changed that much, to be honest. We actually grew a little bit in the 28 to 34 compared to last time. Everything else kind of stuck the same. Now, this is going to be the hardest question, Jay. What do you think the gender split is?
This is a loaded question.
Would I ever give you a question that's fair?
This is a loaded question. Let's just say 50-50.
Oh, God, no.
Why rolling your eyes?
Because
where you?
where me? It's 96% male. And then female and non-binary and undisclosed is 2%.
There you go. Yeah.
So the way this breaks down is if you're a dude living in the US, chances are you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts and you're somewhere between 35 and 44. What do you think about that?
I think that we need to change that somehow. How are we going to do that?
How are we going to make ourselves appeal more to non-male people outside the... I don't know, what age demographic should we go after? 45 to 59? 28 to 34?
Well, see, the problem is if you're talking about stuff that we grew up with, I don't see younger adults gravitating towards that because they just
that
probably
seems like
don't
a lot of
care,
work.
right?
Seems like a lot of work to convince them.
Yeah, like what are we going to talk about? Fortnite toys? Like,
so we've either got to talk about stuff that they like for the younger crowd, or we've got to talk about stuff that the older crowd might like that we don't know enough about. Either way, we don't know enough about it.
Or make 5-second video. The podcast will be 5 seconds long. Hey, how you doing, everyone? Done.
No, we don't have time for any introductions.
That's it.
Just hey, look at this cool car. That's the video.
That's pretty much it. Put a little text on top of it, and there you go. 1 million views in like 20 minutes.
It reminds me, do you remember that app, Boomerang? That just kept looping like a GIF loops back and forth. It was I think it was part of Twitter, or Twitter bought it at one point. You basically boomerang stuff that's like repeatable so that you could like have something play forward and then like rewind it so that
so you
on a
see
seamless loop.
A drink. It's like
Wow. Yeah. That's essentially what you're saying with our new stats. That's fair. We got a lot of comments from our show last week when we were talking about when you were talking about your Kevin Conroy story at Comic-Con. So I thought maybe we could dig into our handbag of Comic-Con and fan expos of year past and share a few more stories that might interest our listening audience.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you have any good stories?
We've been, I'm trying to think of ones that I haven't told yet. The Mark Hamill one has been told. I think 2011 was a really big year. I did the Fan Expo in Toronto. That's when I met Christopher Lloyd, which was really cool. David Prowse and John Bernthal, which was probably the best out of that year. That was fun. That was back when I was still trying to meet these guys.
Pre-Nintendo Quest as well.
Pre-Nintendo Quest by a couple of years, yeah.
Because those pictures are in the extended intro, and you talk about them.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Yeah, that was just because we started shooting 2013 for that. That was just before that. I think that was one of the last cons I attended when I sought out autographs from, guys that you look up to and you watch and stuff like that. And then not until 2016 when I met Mark Hamill. That was the last time.
No,
But even
2011.
before that, let's go before that because you and I weren't at that one.
2011. Did you have any impatient ex-girlfriends that delayed things or
No,
made?
but I had the same the same thing where it was like, like John Bernthal. I was with someone and she's like, do you want me to come with you to meet John Bernthal? And I just said no.
No. Now, let me ask you, because I was thinking about this.
Is that me being selfish? I don't think it is. I think
No.
at the time, The Walking Dead was on fire. I loved it so much. I in particular loved Shane, was my favorite character.
You did,
and that's
Shane.
why I fell in love with John Bernthal as an actor, because of his role in Walking Dead. So it was like a personal thing I had with John Bernthal and with Shane.
Now, can I ask you something though? In both of these instances, both of these now current ex people of your life, did they also have a meet and greet ticket, or were they just hoping to like shoehorn their way into like your spot?
I'm trying to think. I believe you could have up to X amount of people. So I think
so. They didn't have a ticket. They were just trying to horn in on your purchase.
Yeah. But I mean, that goes to show, I mean, this stuff means so much to me.
It means more than a potential relationship.
Oh, I don't think so. You know what? I don't think so. Why would you want to be involved in something like that? Something that's so personal, right? So let's look at it from the opposite side. So if I had a girlfriend and she was really into, I don't know, Sailor Moon or She-Ra, whatever, and they wanted to meet the voice actor for Sailor Moon, why would I be upset? Do you know what I mean? If she wanted to meet... No, listen.
Yeah, but John Bernthal, okay, The Walking Dead. I believe that you were watching this show as it came out with this person, so they may have had as much investment in the character in the show as you, therefore had the connection that you had. Everyone would be like, hey, The Walking Dead's our thing, babe. Like, we should do this together, hun.
But like most people, they've hated Shane, especially near the end. So it wasn't like that. It wasn't like we're going to meet Andrew Lincoln, who is Rick. Everyone loves Rick. He's main character. It wasn't like that. It was like a very specific character. So again, going back to the Sailor Moon thing, if she wanted to meet Sailor Moon, and forgive me, I don't know the North American voice actor for Sailor Moon. I apologize. If she wanted to meet Sailor Moon, I can't imagine me like grasping onto her. Oh, can I get another picture too? Like, because it means...
Well, this is why I bring up the argument that with The Walking Dead around that time being a new show that people were excited about, you didn't have to have the 30-year history that somebody may have with Sailor Moon.
So let's change it. There was 3 people that year. There was Christopher Lloyd and David Prowse, who played Darth Vader, and also the bodyguard in Clockwork Orange, which we always bring up because I love him in that role. So Christopher Lloyd, it was the same thing. It was like, well, I want to meet Christopher Lloyd, I don't think they tried to attach themselves to that one, but it would have been the same thing.
God. This is amazing. Okay. Did you see John Bernthal first or Christopher Lloyd first?
John was last, I think. David was first.
Was there an attempt to be part of David?
No.
That picture? So nothing for David Prowse, nothing for Christopher Lloyd.
There's a hilarious, that picture of me and David Prowse is hilarious because I always used to, wear a chain like this, and I have the the Imperial insignia, thinking that, he's going to say something about that. No. He didn't even care.
So what's interesting about this, and I wish it would have played out this way, that you saw John first and you're like, no, I don't want you to be in this. Because then it would have been like,
say it like that, man. I'm not a cold, heartless person. I didn't say it like that.
Can I be in this picture with you, Jay? No.
That never happened.
In fact, go stand over there by the restrooms and I'll signal you when I want your opinion on something.
Not even close.
It would have been funny that if like John Bernthal was first and then like Christopher Lloyd's like, and it would be like, so can I get in this picture with you? No, you can't. And you can go back to the end of the line for asking. And then like David Prowse is third. So I know you didn't want me in those other 2 pictures, Jay. But
So
you know,
let me spin it
kind
to you
of
this
thinking
way.
maybe
And for all our
maybe
listeners
could I be
out
in
there,
one picture? You know, since we're sweethearts, can we have one picture together at Comic-Con?
listen, we could be sweethearts all day long. I got no problem with that. You're talking about
Just for one day.
more likely than not a once in a lifetime shot at meeting any one of those people, even though there's some of them like Prowse, you know, he toured a lot, the con circuit. But more often than not, even if they do that, you're only ever going to meet them one time. This is your guaranteed shot. And think about that now. So I'm not with that person now.
I've got
so if
one
she was
shot
with me
to meet
beside
this
John
person,
Bernthal,
and you're with me, and I don't want to share this moment with you because this is my one shot, and you don't mean enough to share this person.
Listen.
I don't want to share their oxygen.
I've seen a lot of these con pictures with friends of mine that are with someone they were with at the time, and they don't hang that photo up. They can't do anything with the photo because most times, like John Bernthal will be in the center, then one here and one here. So there's no real way you can Photoshop unless you like cut it right here.
That's where you just get them to stand like 6 inches away. Like this is why COVID cons would be the perfect, right? Like you got to stay apart so you can just like cut them out and like Photoshop them out of the frame and reframe it. And there you go.
Yeah. I mean, you can think what you want, and everyone who's listening, don't judge me. I think
Jay did the same thing to me when we met Gene Simmons. He said, you better go ahead because I don't want you to do this.
I sent you first because that's what you do. I was terrified. I don't think I've been so emotionally unstable in any event in my life.
You sent me first. I love the language you use. You control how the whole meet and greet goes. We can't think for ourselves.
No, it was like
I'm going to be here. Rob, you go first. I'm not letting you get a decision. You're going first, Rob.
No, it was you go first because I know you're not afraid. Like I was terrified. And you didn't care. You wanted to meet him, but you weren't like, it's just a guy, dude. I'm like, no, you don't get it, man. You get it. But I was a little different than I am now back then, right? So I sent you because I knew you'd do it, right?
I took your picture too, didn't I?
Our friend Kelly did. Because she was after me.
I couldn't remember if I took it or if she took it. I thought I did. And
No,
you remember he
you
wouldn't
went
sign
first.
my Killer CD?
What's that?
He wouldn't sign my Killers CD. Kiss Killers?
Yeah, because that was released in. It was just released in Europe or whatever, and it doesn't have the.
It's official, but it doesn't have the trademark S's.
It's got like weird S's. You had to be the cool guy do that.
That's who I am.
I would have done it too. Didn't you just pick that up on that trip or whatever? Anyway,
we were waiting. I got it.
This was where we met Gene Simmons. It was in Toronto. It was at a Chapters book signing for his new book,
Kiss and Makeup.
And it was really cool, but I was terrified because he's an idol of mine, a musical idol. And meeting Gene Simmons is, I think, intimidating for most people, except Big Hero Rob. He didn't care.
What? It's just
those are some. You give me a few of yours now. I've talked a lot. I've given you 4 examples. I guess Gene's not really a con, but it's in a similar vein.
I think it was 2001. It might have been the same year that we met Gene, but in the summer at Fan Expo. That was a cool Fan Expo for me because I had a press pass because this was like the first. One of the first documentary I was like hired for to shoot. I was shooting and I was editing it, and I got to meet David Prowse then before the doors opened.
Go ahead, say it.
Yeah, 10 years before you.
Oh, and Ray Park too. I'll never forget you said that too.
And Ray Park.
Because I was scheduled to meet Ray at a con, and he canceled his appearance there. So Ray never.
Well, it's really not that big of a deal. I like him because he's the Headless Horseman and Toad from X-Men.
There you go.
Yeah. That's my
Toad from X-Men.
That's the answer you love to hear from me, right?
Toad. No, that would be like
Toad, how's it going, man?
See, when I think I have Rob pegged, like if Rob had been with me when we met Christopher Lloyd,
it would have been Star Trek 3.
Star Trek 3, or like he was like the bad guy in Legends of the Lone Ranger.
Or like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
or Cuckoo's Nest. It'd be anything but what he is known for, which is
like Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent. Oh my God!
We talked about if we'd met Leonard Nimoy, he would have got him to sign the Transformers the movie poster.
Yeah, or like his Ballad of Bilbo Baggins album.
Oh God. Oh.
But you got to go with the deep cut so that they know that you care. It's along the same lines of you never wear the band shirt to the concert you're going to see. I
have the best one, and I'm going to get Mr. McCallum to talk about and describe the 2002 con, which we sat in on a panel for Billy D. Williams. And Rob got to ask a question. Do you remember what that question was?
I don't.
It was nothing to do with Lando. It had everything to do with Billy D as Harvey Dent in the Batman Tim Burton movie. You remember that?
I don't remember the question yet, but that does not
had
surprise
your hand
me.
Up.
I remember people asked Coke or Pepsi, Ginger or Marianne. He said Coke, and Ginger or Marianne, he said both.
Yeah. But you put your hand up and I can't remember the question, but you asked him about his role in Batman, which is actually cool now. But of course, back then I looked at him and I'm just like, you could ask him anything
so embarrassing.
About Star Wars and you ask him about that. But he was really relieved. I remember he was really relieved to hear about that. And he loved to talk about his art and his music as well, which was something that a lot of people, don't bring up, right? They bring up.
I think I asked him about how come Harvey Dent wasn't in Batman Returns, and what did you think of the Harvey Dent character in Batman Forever? Was there ever any discussions to wanting to do that? Did it appeal to you? Something along those lines.
I remember him saying he wanted to do it, but I mean, he's in Tim Burton's Batman for a very small amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So that was cool. So there's Rob there. That's the kind of idea. If you go to a con with Rob and you're going to meet someone, you better bring.
You're not going to talk about the most obvious thing.
Bring your encyclopedia. Like if you were to meet Mark Hamill, maybe that's a bad example. I would even say he wouldn't even ask Mark Hamill about the Joker. It would be something completely different because you think, well, he won't do Luke Skywalker. Okay, so it's got to be the Joker because Rob loves Batman, especially the 90s Batman. Oh, no.
I'll ask him about a voice he did in Scooby-Doo.
Maybe like Corvette Summer, like
I said, what was it like
scene.
Guest starring on Third Rock from the Sun?
Oh God. Or Partridge Family or small role like that.
Yeah. That
sounds about right. Let's find out what Mark's doing.
And of course I wouldn't ask him about Skeletor. That would be weird. That'd be too obvious for me.
That's way too obvious.
Yeah.
And
that 2002 con. The big mission I was on was for, again, the 2002 figures had just come out, but I couldn't find Merman anywhere. So I was able to get a single English only release from America of Merman, which was oh my God, this is all I wanted. It was $30. I was fine. They were $10 in the store, but we didn't get I couldn't find Merman anywhere at Toys R Us or in any other store. So, and everything we had, of course, was trilingual. So there's so much writing, especially on those 2002 packages. So just to have a nice, clean one that was America only, English. It's all I want to read. That's the con. I famously tell this story about blowing my wad dollar-wise within the first 5 minutes of us entering the con on the Yoda lightsaber. Yeah.
2002, again, it was...
And then getting more money for the PVCs.
You're calling mom, begging my mom for money.
Mom, I bought a Yoda lightsaber, but I still got to get some Transformer
bless her
dollars.
for doing it too. But that stuff, there was lightsabers and stuff. A lot of Don Post stuff, but nothing was really mainstream until then. The early 2000s when that stuff became readily available for us. And I took full advantage of it, I tell you. I still have that lightsaber. Maybe I should get rid of it.
One thing I wanted to ask you about with cons, what was it like when things got flipped around and we started having our own presence, our own tables as part of Nintendo Quest? What was that like for you? Because now all of a sudden we're not going to meet people or going to hunt down an item. We're there to promote something because it's a whole different experience, I think, when you're on that side of things.
It's great. It's my favorite thing to do. I wish that would pick up again. There doesn't seem to be any kind of normalness still. I don't know if there ever will. Hopefully there will be, but I like it. And that's when I kind of really calmed down on the celebrity thing, because we had so many people come up to us just as excited as we were. Not that we're on the same level. I'm just saying, just as excited. And it's really humbling to see that, right? So it's like, okay, you talk to the person, it's like, dude, I'm just a guy. Rob's just a guy, And it's very humbling. So that's when I kind of turned everything. Rob's just a guy-ish.
What? So here's the funny thing that I love. So Nintendo Quest comes out in 2015. We start shooting it in 2013. So there's a couple years gap, and we're promoted. We go to Portland Retro Gaming Expo to film still, and then we go back there, of course, when the Power Tour is debuting the film. And at some point during the Power Tour, us going to screenings and stuff, I had the equivalent of me come up to me and ask me a question about something that had nothing to do with the reason that we were kind of there or known for, which was amazing. I had somebody come up and ask me about Missing Mom instead of like Nintendo Quest.
Missing Mom was fantastic, though. That's
but we were there like at a screening for Nintendo Quest, signing Nintendo Quest DVDs, doing filming for Nintendo Quest, and people are coming up and asking and taking our pictures for us. And I remember taking a picture with someone saying, "That Missing Mom doc is great." I'm just like, "Huh?" It's like a curveball. I'm like, McCallum. I've been completely McCallumed.
Yeah, well, I mean, Missing Mom's not exactly an obscure cut. So you would say then, for everything you've done, let's just say it's 2015 right now, that you're mostly known for Nintendo Quest? Is that fair to say?
Oh, by 2015, yeah, of course.
Now? Not.
Now it's Unearthly. That's what everybody knows me for.
Oh, God. I have that. I want to watch it again.
You should. You should do a live stream and commentary. That'd be hilarious.
Oh.
No, don't do that. You want to keep your subscribers. We have a ton of audience questions. I have like a crap ton of topics as well, but I don't think we're going to get to it with the time that we have left today. And I don't think we're going to get to all the questions that have been thrown in as well. Now, do you want to do topics or do you want to do questions?
I grabbed something, just so you know, for the end. I grabbed something off my shelf for Action Figure Spotlight. I don't have anything like super new or anything, so I don't know if you want to cut that out or if you want to keep that in.
No, we're still going to do Action Figure Spotlight, but we've got either questions or topics that we've got questions from listeners, or we have topics that you and I have planned. What do you want to do?
Well, let's do questions from listeners since you put that on your social media for this week.
Okay, we can do that. Peter Wallera wants to know if we hate pants, and Matthew Dutch wants to know boxers or briefs.
Pete wants to know what?
If we hate pants. He asks us this every time we ask for questions from people. Any questions or topics for us? He says, do you hate pants? So do we hate pants?
I'm exclusively in shorts the whole time I'm at my house. I don't hate them, but shorts are just more comfortable.
Yeah, shorts are a good deal. Boxers or briefs?
There needs to be something left to the imagination, my friends. That's my final answer.
Why choose? I say boxer briefs. I like the combo, the hybrid. That's the way to go. So those two questions are done. Frank Allen, our good friend from Toy Power Podcast, TP Squared, with the recent HasLab failures and the success of Eternia, what lessons should companies learn when it comes to crowdfunding projects? I love the idea that there's like a debrief after a HasLab fails. Like nobody talks about it until like the 30 days ends or whatever. It's like, okay, what lessons have we learned? Everybody's taking notes and jotting stuff down. What lessons have they learned with Eternia, I guess, being successful as the counterpoint to those failures?
Well, I don't think Mattel has any lessons to learn right now. I think,
but HasLab, for
HasLab, they got to put their bonus tiers quicker or launch it with more, especially
better bonus tiers. How about that?
Yeah, better and quicker. Like just put it as part of the package. Like for Ghost Rider, for instance, I don't know the character's alias, but to have the normal version of him and then the Ghost Rider version of him at the same time, I think would have sweetened the deal. More bang for your buck. Don't leave it till the end. Mephisto should have been more obtainable. Rancor, like coming with a cardboard backing on a $500 item is insulting. So better rewards and quicker rewards.
I would like to see all the rewards available for one price so that there isn't an unlock, that it's just we need this many people and then that's it. Even if it's like we got to get 10,000 backers or we're not doing it at all. But then you get these three figures as well, this other thing, and the thing we're trying to do.
Also, piggybacking on something I said a few episodes ago, I'd also like to see a payment plan in place. I think
so this is the one thing that the Eternia, man, they have some lessons to learn on that. First of all, they introduced PayPal 3 weeks into it, and certain vendors had payment plans as well. But that wasn't available off the cuff, which would have got you that early bird figure. So that's a big mistake.
And I said, dude, a lot of these I would most likely wanted to fund if I known it would only cost X amount each month.
Yeah.
Considering these aren't coming up for a year or maybe later, a payment plan is a must. Sorry, go ahead.
And then they said everybody that backs is going to get King Grayskull as a figure. And then after the campaign ended, they said, no, not everybody anymore because we didn't get to 10,000 backers. It's only going to be the people in the first week anyways. So you've got 4,000 people that backed assuming they were going to get King Grayskull anyways.
That's just a crappy thing to do. Yeah.
Just include it for everybody. Don't walk that back. That sounds like lawsuit kind of bullshit to say one thing and be confusing.
So what do you think about just a company being completely transparent up front and say, we've created 5 tiers. Here they are. Here's the goals. So tell everybody everything at once instead of this a few days and the campaign's not going so good. And then here's Luke for the Rancor.
I even like the idea of saying, let's take the Rancor, for example. Okay. And I'm picking a bad thing on purpose. Here's the Rancor. You want in, it's $349. Okay, cool. All these other unlocks come. You don't have to get them, but if you want Luke, then it's $20. If you want the Rancor Keeper, then it's $20. So that people don't have to necessarily get them all or wait to get so many backers. You get 5,000 backers for the Rancor, which is the chief goal. And as the backers increase, the unlocks basically allow an add-on to do it. And that way you have a low number of backers to make it happen. The company's not losing money by giving away free figures. People can pick and choose the ones that they want. I think there's something to that could work.
And with the Rancor, to continue with that point as well, not being lazy. So I've mentioned that the
sculpting, the digital renders. Ugh.
Well, the big femur bone that Luke uses to put on the Rancor's mouth, it was just a repackaged version of the Black Series figure that came out that year. So for them not to put in any kind of effort, Luke needs the bone for that scene. That's the whole point, right? Yeah. So for them not to do that, that's just lazy. Oh, whatever. Here's Luke. They'll be happy with that. Well, evidently not.
I want to switch to one more question before we get to Action Figure Spotlight because time is fading. Ken, our good friend from Toy Connections, wants to know vintage versus modern. How do you decide what to buy next? I love that there's always that he's built in there that we're going to be buying something. It's just a matter of what are we buying next? Because we can't just hold off and be content. It's always about the buying, the purchasing, the acquisition. So how do you decide vintage or new? What do we buy next? How do we decide that?
Vintage is always on the radar, Ken. I would say I have seasons for toys. And my best example of that could be G.I. Joe for me is a summer thing. I don't know why that is, but I tend to really be into and focused on Joe's vintage in the summer. The new stuff is really dependent on what the developers are making, right? I mean, if they brought out Warduke in February, or if they brought out NECO brought out Warduke in November, it wouldn't matter. Right, I would buy it whenever. So it's really, with new stuff, it's really just what the developers are making. Vintage, it's a seasonal thing for me. It's really strange. I don't know why that is.
I don't think it's that strange because I follow a somewhat similar path. I wouldn't say it's as weather dependent as you're maybe, or calendar dependent, like you're saying. But it's kind of whatever I'm into. It's not really new versus vintage as the question sets up. It's kind of like, what rabbit hole am I going down and what am I really following? Am I learning about a new line and therefore kind of looking at the vintage stuff, or learning about an older line that has new stuff coming out of it that I'm interested in, want to get that because there's maybe less of a hunt. It's easier to grab. It's really kind of what is topical for me or what I discover in research or through conversation of people. That's kind of what dictates what I buy next. And it's not an either or. It's kind of what's kicking around in the old noggin, I think. Want to get to action figure spotlight?
Let's do it.
Okay. You've got 1, 2. How many figures are you showcasing?
I just have one. I picked the most obscure one I could find. Just for fun. This is from a company called Lanyard. Put his sword in his hand here. Hang on. This is from a line called Dragon Force, and this is Ninja. You see him?
I love it.
His sword doesn't stay in his hand too well. So he looks like a cheap bootleg toy, which it kind of is. I found this at Dark Matter Toys, actually. I believe spring this year. But he's one cool figure. He's all cloth here on the uppers. These remind me of like Remco toys. Like it feels very cheap. Like it feels, the legs feel shorter than they should be. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like it's a bootleg. He doesn't hold his weapon very well.
That's the
actual, pardon me?
That's the charm of it. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah, see, look at him lean forward. The actual plastic on the legs feels almost moist. Like it feels sticky.
I love a moist figure. It's
such terrible plastic. But I do love me some ninjas of the 80s. And this reminds me of the lead character in Enter the Ninja. And so I just picked him off the shelf. He was speaking to me today. He's like, hey, why don't you show me off on the show? I'm like, okay. I'll do that. So again, keeping with my theme of cutting back, I really don't have anything new to show, but I do have a wonderful collection of stuff that you guys haven't seen. So there's one of them right there.
I like that it's a deep cut, something a little obscure, something unexpected. That actually makes my day to see that.
Awesome.
Because you usually stick within a certain room. Oh, I had a box that our good friend Ken, who we just answered a question for, sent, I believe, in August that I hadn't opened because I knew that we were going to get around to filming. And like you, I'm not purchasing all that much. Yeah. So I have a bunch of mail days that have been piling up and I've been slowly bringing it to the office. And I thought, well, this is a good day. Now, there are 3 different figures in it. So I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them given where we are with time. But this is one that I was really excited about. I'm just going to go large here for everybody at home watching.
Large
and in charge. And this is the Ultimate Warrior. So Ken is obviously a big wrestling fan, and the Warrior is one of my favorites. So very much like that kind of threshold character from like the first generation of Hogan to the second generation of Bret Hart. I think he's a good transitionary figure, in terms of the history of the sport. I love that he comes with 2 belts and the classic iconic look. But not just that, folks. Here in this bubble wrap, I have a second Warrior figure as well with his later alternate outfit. And there he is.
Well, you better, I got to tell you right now, you better be careful there, buddy. You'll be watching wrestling again.
Well, I think you better be careful, because if I start watching wrestling, then we're going to have to do league night streams.
Well, they haven't done any good games. Well, I shouldn't say that. Hold up. In my opinion, they haven't done wrestling games as good as No Mercy on the N64.
You don't have to preface it by saying, in my opinion. The fact that you say it, we know it's your opinion.
No, but I often get people coming back at me saying, like I said, it was a fact. Like it's a fact that No Mercy is the best wrestling game ever. No, it's not. So I say, in my opinion, and that changes the question, or it changes my response.
People really think that everything that you say is pure fact and nothing is emotional or
dude, you would be surprised at the comments that I get from my videos if I don't say in my opinion, if I just state something like Duke is the best leader in G.I. Joe, I will get hammered. But if I say in my opinion, then I don't get anything. So that's why I've come to custom to saying.
Oh my God. Are people real?
True.
Well, I guess people are whatever they are. They're entitled to act like that. And I'm entitled to not preface things with saying, in my opinion. I believe people are watching the stuff we do because they want our opinions. Therefore, our opinion is in there. In fact, most of the time, you and I specifically reference when we are indicating that something may or may not be a fact and cite it with the sources that are known to us. That should be enough, folks. I'm getting worked up. I
guess it's different when I'm doing a review on a figure on my YouTube channel, and I say something. Someone said something about Howard the Duck the other day, my Howard the Duck video, and I just
how did that go?
Ignored it. I just ignored it because it's the same. It's like, that's his appearance was in Guardian. I think I said
Guardians of the Galaxy and a cutscene at the end. Yes,
the end credit scene in Guardians 2, and then actually you're quite wrong. It's Guardians 1. I'm just like, okay, man.
Well, thank you for correcting me. Now I'll be able to sleep at night knowing I have an army of fact checkers out there.
So when I was doing that video, I'll end this really quickly. So when I was doing that, I said Guardians 2, knowing I wasn't sure. So I followed it by saying, I am not an expert in the MCU by any means. And I still got that comment.
I don't have the energy to be so cautious with my words. I don't pretend to know everything. In fact, most of the time I admit I'm wrong about everything. So if you've got the answer, awesome, good for you. However long it took you to discover that, maybe somebody told you, maybe you're telling me, but I don't have the energy to be precious. But if you want to correct us, then by all means, go for it. I hear people correcting me all day long. It's not going to bother me, but I'm not going to sit here and choose my words so that you're not offended. I invite you to join the conversation and correct us though, please.
And the fact
tell us how wrong we are.
But the Howard Duck movie version of Howard is still the best Howard the Duck.
I heard a story that actor was from London, Ontario.
He was friends with one of my exes from high school. Actual friends.
That couldn't be in the Christopher Lloyd picture?
Nope, not that one. You'll know. We'll talk off camera. You know who it is.
That's what we call a callback joke. And by the way, I have a story for you that I can't see on camera yet that totally fits the entire mold about what I would do to somebody known for one thing, but asking them about something else.
Well, there you go. So listeners, nah.
There you go.
In my opinion, nah.
No. It's. Are you saying it's a fact?
What do you mean, nah? You can't say that past grade 6. That's a fact.
That's a fact that the show is done. Jay, where can people find you if they want to watch more of your fact-finding, truth-based speaking?
Guys, check me out on my YouTube. All I do is stream live. I live live, life on display. YouTube, Jay Bartlett, for all your gaming and toy needs. Yes, both coexisting on one channel. Mind's blown.
I am excited for your upcoming video in which you and I believe our good friend Articulated Chad in your ongoing Versus series compare the Cobra Terradrome and the USS Defiance. Because I know where that debate ends and begins.
Yeah,
I could save you an hour and a half of talking about it, but I want to let everybody else chime in and tune in and share their thoughts with what you guys are going to discuss.
Please do, guys. It's every Friday at 8 o'clock on my YouTube channel, and we do 3 rounds. The one that's on the thumbnail is always the final fight or the main event. So yeah, check it out.
What's great is it's right after this show. This show usually debuts right at 7 o'clock. So when this ends, hop over to Jay's channel and see what he's doing live and chat with him.
Yeah, buddy.
There you go. I don't have... What was our new catchphrase that we came up with last week? Do you remember that?
John Bernthal reminds me of our buddy Scotty Brown. I just thought of that.
It's true.
Think about it.
Scotty, I've been talking to Scotty lately.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him. He doesn't have social media, so he does.
He does?
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't have me, I guess. Well, there you go.
In my opinion, he has social media.
I called him John Bernthal, so he doesn't like that.
I think our catchphrase was something, buy whatever you want, stick it on your shelf, or cram it in your hole. Wasn't it something like that?
No, I like the What do we just say about the credit card? The Chrome credit debt from here?
The chrome-plated credit card debt? Yeah, that sounds about right. Good luck on this week's chrome-plated credit card debt. I'm Rob McCallum. That's Jay Bartlett. We'll see you next week on the Wacky Jay and Rob Toy Show. Bye-bye.
In my opinion.